Hello, what's up, everybody? This is LasagnaCat. Here with Semper and a bunch of the gang here. We're gonna do another weekly recap of me finding my way to being a consistent trader, consistently profitable. The date is Friday, May 26th, 2023. And I'd like to take you through some of my progress and sort of up and down progress, as it were. It was a pretty difficult week of trading for me. Not that it was like emotionally excruciating or anything like that, but there's a couple of consolidation days, a sell-off day, no real like strong bull days except for today, which is Friday. Today's Friday. There's like a force up thing going on in the market, one of those Friday force ups. So at any rate, so I'm gonna present my trades and notes I took this week. I've been trading sim for a few weeks now, with Semper guiding me through identifying my setup, like my A+ setup, constructing rules to it, adding moving averages, and it's going really great. And so this is the next step along that quest. So the screenshot I have here, I've shown you guys the screenshot before. This is sort of an example of my ideal setup. It involves a large dump out, finding support, RSI overcool, and the beginning of a higher low pattern. My setup usually involves getting in on like the second higher low. It's funny in this example, it's like the third almost. But I have some instances where I get in on the first higher low for entry. Some I get in on the second higher low. It's also based on a fib levels. So it involves a first red pullback, preferably touching a moving average, but first red pullback down, and then a higher low happening in my ad zone. As it stands currently, preferably a second higher low. And then up to a nice fib level target or moving average target, talking the 161, 200. And we look for a RSI overcool and recover with, I like looking at the MACD to sort of validate and verify the RSI. So this is sort of the template, sort of an example of what I'm going for. But let's also now look at the week. So we'll get rid of that. We'll go to Monday. So Monday was an interesting day because I had missed the trade I wanted. I'm really proud of this day anyway. Here we go. We got my Monday chart right here. I'm proud of this day anyway because I saved myself from a lot of bad trades I would have taken in the past. This is the trade I wanted right here. So you see my yellow moving average. That's my 666 moving average. I was looking for a solid bounce on that like all day. But let me take you through the day. There was a huge surge up and then like a dump down. So many times in the past, I've gotten smoked on trying to like get in on like the first pullback. Let me buy the pullback, yeah, and then like get in on the pullback and just like fucking get smoked. This time it didn't happen. It didn't happen because so all this shit didn't happen yet, this stuff over here. So in that first part of the day, I had a fib drawn from here to here, first move. And when it came back down there, it was in my ad zone. But I was looking here. I'm sorry, these indicators are kind of small, but look at RSI. When that dump happened, RSI had a very vertical look to it. It came down in the 50s, sure, but there was a very abrupt initial movement down there. It planed out a little bit, so it got gradual towards the end. But since I'm using MACD to like verify or strengthen the look, I saw that it was crossing to the downside. I was like, oh shit, I better stay away. And it pushed up a little bit, a few candles. I was like, fuck, man, like, am I regretting not getting in? And then whoosh, down. So RSI and MACD saved my ass. Because in the past, I would have seen this big volume beat. I would have gone, buy the pullback. But nah, I stayed out of trouble. I had no interest in getting in any of this stuff, for the same reasons. RSI downtrend. Look at MACD pointing down the whole time. That's like taking a vacation. You're not even thinking about taking a trade. Like MACD's pointing down. This is doing, what do you call it? Downtrend on RSI. You're just chilling. Lots of red volume, whatever. So I started getting interested, of course. Not like, hey, it's my play, but like I started, I wasn't on vacation anymore when I saw this happen. And by the way, I wasn't on vacation. I was still watching moving averages forming, but you get it. So huge move up. And when it started like getting up here, I drew this fib, right? And I was like, hey, maybe my pullback's gonna happen, like maybe I can get in somewhere if there's like a nice pullback here. Um, what I saw though was that RSI was really chopping the 50 here. And like I was like, okay, it's chopping the 50. I'm not always really comfortable with that because, like, yeah, sure, like consolidating on the 50, it can move up. Fine, great. So let me keep that in mind. Like maybe I'll see some price action, but no. One of my rules is like price action needs to be recognizable and replicable. You need to have a pattern that you can rely on. None of this up here represented that. You know, RSI was on the 50. It was a nice move, waiting for that pullback. And there was a couple times like here, I kind of wanted to get in. I was like, yo, that kind of looks like a pullback. Over here, I was like, like, it's holding the 200. That's where it was trying to like test my rules. It was like, should I do a 200 bounce? And it's like, no, like a 200 bounce isn't my rules. Like, that's not like, that's not my scene. So I was like, nope, I don't see price action here. And nope, I don't really know what to do when RSI is at the 50 with this price action. I'm staying away. And look, I was looking for a 666 bounce, but when it came down to 666 this time, I was like, nah, I'm just not interested. MACD was pointing down. RSI had gotten to the 30, but it hadn't gone to overcool. And I wouldn't want to mess with it in a situation looking like this unless it had gone to overcool. This is a great higher low from here. In fact, that's where I drew my trend line from. But on its own, I just didn't see the stuff. Obviously, that would have been a good trade, but whatever. It didn't fill my criteria. I was waiting for my criteria. That's why I was so pissed off that like I was away from my computer when this happened. But so we get up to here and it's the same deal. I just don't see my setup. Um, and I see that still chopping the 50. I'm like, I can't have anything to do with this unless it goes down to overcool RSI and recovers. And it was right around here. I was like, look, if this comes down to the 666 and RSI overcool recovers, I will get into this trade. At around this time, I was like, I had to go do something else. I was like, oh, Christ, I don't want to leave the computer. I was like, all right, it'll just be a few minutes. And then, dude, it took like 15 minutes or more. And when I got back to my computer, we were right over here. It's like, no. Because, like, look, like it caught the next part of the trend line, too. I drew my trend line right here from here. And that was the perfect confluence of 666, moving average, trend line, my RSI overcool and recover. MACD was sort of doing different stuff. Like there was a little nudge here, a little thing there. So that wasn't the clearest read, but it also wasn't a shitty read on MACD. So I mean, I left the room. I was bummed to see this, but the play worked out, the call worked out, and what do you call it? Semper has been telling me, and it really is true, that the ability to call out plays and the ability to like, you can let a play go, but it still verifies the playbook, that creates consistency. What do you call it? A mindset of consistency. So it's interesting. Like, there's a couple days where stuff like this kind of happened this week, where like there was like this persistent, what you call it, resistance, which is why, and I swear to God, this definitely would have been my exit. Look at that, like 7 points, 6 3/4, 7 points, something like that. 6 points probably. Who knows? I don't feel like counting that. But yeah, 6, whatever. Good move. Anyway, I was pissed off that I missed it, but then like I took a few minutes to really internalize what Semper said, and I thought, yeah, you know what? He's right. It's still good. This goes into the bank as a good experience. So yeah, does anyone have any comment? I forgot to say in the beginning, like, yeah, if anyone has any comments, questions, just please chime in. You can just, unmute yourself and interrupt me. It's all good. Or type in chat. So this is a trade I missed. Does anybody have any questions or comments? As if not, I'll move on to Tuesday.
No, you're good. That was awesome call out. Like I said, don't beat yourself up for not getting in,
Yeah.
just always be positive and say I called it out. Next time I won't go to the restroom or or take a break
For sure.
until you're ready to until you're ready, or you completed your trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's so true because like in this area, like my trade plan was still like on the table. Um, it's gotta let the world know that you're not available or you're trading,
Yeah,
unless it's
yeah,
emergency.
that and definitely don't leave the computer while you're in the trade. I've
Oh
had
my
it
goodness.
go
Yeah.
against me
Oh yeah,
just because I didn't adjust I had a fishing order out and then missed it by a tick.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have nightmares about that.
Uh,
Oh, well, cool. Well, moving right along. So we got Tuesday next. I'll show you what happened on Tuesday. It's funny, Tuesday I actually had two green trades that like didn't end that good. Like they were, I'm not saying they went to red, they stayed green or whatever, but just to the tune of like a quarter of a point and then 1 point. Uh so here's what happened Tuesday, trade number one. So so after the open here, right? We got a nice higher low set. Look good. This is my MES chart. This shows where the support was. There's a nice weekly level right here. Awesome. Um, my indicators are a little cut off here, but um, their RSI actually looks kind of funny, but what do you call it? MACD did one of these nice like going up and do a nice like little like support hit on the beige line. So that's kind of cool. But what happened was I saw this higher low set, or rather I saw this leg up, and so I did the fib from my from this red candle down to the bottom because it hit the 50 moving average. Awesome, 50 SMA. So I thought very solid. Drew the fib there. I got this really nice higher low set, which was cool. There, you see, there's like this grayed out level. This is something that Semper showed me recently that I really, really like. So over here, like say you're formulating your play, right? You've got your price action, you draw your fib, you got your higher low. You can look to the left of that. If you're on MES in particular, you get a lot of the candles read as these like dojis here, right? These little gray guys, like crosses. And so I drew a little support zone. These can indicate support zones. You see you take where the doji crosses, and I made like a little square area here based on the doji crosses as like the limits of that little zone, and it did create a support zone right here, which is awesome. But here's how my trade was kind of funny. So when I saw it come up from this higher low, I was like, cool, wait for the next higher low. And so it kind of shot up right here and came back here. I made a bit of a premature entry at this point. Um, because like it was nowhere like my ad zone down here is down here technically, but I forgot what it was. Something made me buy in this area. I kind of forget what. And I don't have anything against my entry. I'll explain that in a sec. But it was this quick pullback. It was kind of like because it pulled back to this support zone. I was like, fuck, let me just get in like right here. It would have been a lot more savvy to wait for like this kind of pullback because this is just sort of like a little like little shot. But after it sort of hammered up the way I saw, I was like, oh, I feel good about it, whatever. So I did kind of break a rule here. So I was messaging with Semper at the time, and he was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, I got in." Da, da, da. Like I felt good about my entry, and it was all good. And he was like, "Yeah, but also wait for be careful because data is coming up. You see this big candle, right?" Um, and so when he said that, what flashed in my mind was one of my rules is that I don't trade data. I just don't do it. Meaning I don't stay in and wait for data to happen. Like I don't hold through data. I just don't do it. You can do it, like people do it. I mean, I'm not going to do it, at least not at this point, because like anything can happen, right? And I'm paying strict attention to like what I'm doing. And I'm also coming to realize like any one trade just doesn't matter as long as you're following your rules and using it as data points for your career going forward. So he was like, watch out for data. And I was like, oh shit, data. I usually set an alarm, by the way. So that's another rule I broke. I didn't set an alarm for my data. So I was like, oh shit. Well, then he didn't say get out. He just said like watch out for data. But for me, like when I know data is coming up, I just get out. So I actually exited this right here. So I was green by a quarter of a point. So whatever. Um, so I was really happy I got out. You see, it went up, but I didn't feel bad about that at all because I felt good that I felt good for two reasons. One reason was I'm glad that I obeyed my rule, and I'm glad that the pattern played out. I mean, data hit, it could have gone either way, but the fact that data led to a bullish move, and the fact that that bullish move played out my higher low pattern that I was playing, um, that all was great. I took that very well. I enjoyed that. Um, so I gotta say, this wasn't my strictest adherence to my rules, in that my entry was a little bit capricious. Everything else I'm totally happy about, and I'm totally happy about getting out once I knew that data was coming up, because I don't hold through data. I do not. And I also like saying that this little support zone worked out, because that's something I'm just getting hip to right now. And that's about it for that trade, actually. No huge news there. And I wasn't red, so that's also fun. And I've got a second one from a little bit later on the day. That's my first one from Tuesday. Um, if anybody has some comments.
Something that might help you play through data
Mhm.
is see how you had that weekly support line right here, and then you had like a fib line, the 50% fib line.
Yeah, right, this juncture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I stayed in I was in that trade as well.
yeah.
But I think I told you I probably would have got stopped out on that wick
It was a
from
long
it
word.
if
Yeah,
if I was if I had a fishing order out at the 23%, because I had the same fib, but mine went to the top of the green wick
yeah.
um instead of the red pullback candle.
Oh, yours went here.
Yeah, right there. And I believe, like I said, there was a weekly level there, and I if it would have lost that, but also look at the RSI with that big wick, that
Yeah.
big candle, it didn't really like shoot down past the 50 RSI.
No, it was like a perfect tap, actually.
That's what you guys got to look at when you guys the reference the RSI and it doesn't correlate to price action, then you know something's hiding. There's hidden volume or hidden something, or the hidden algos are gonna turn on right here.
Mm.
Is they correlate. And one of that price action video that I mentioned before on the meeting before the meeting, that says the enter like long, a second entry long, which would be this is one leg, and then this is the pullback, right? So you wait until it makes a low, which is this red candle, and then you would enter once it breaks above the wick, one tick above the wick, and then your stop would be one tick below the wick. Uh,
I'm not seeing your drawings. Do I need to give permission to folks to see
hold
their
on.
drawings?
Nah, I just wasn't drawing.
Oh, okay.
So this candle right here, so this red candle makes the first pullback. So
Hmm.
this is one leg, right?
Yeah.
Pullback, you get in. You get in when it breaks one tick above that line. So
Hmm.
you would have got in right here, right?
Yeah.
'Cause it opened up here, it shot down, or it bounced a little bit, and then it shot down, and then it squeezed back up. Uh, so you may have got stopped out here, unless you would have came in after the candle was already past this point.
Mm.
But that's the leg, and then you can use this leg to measure the next leg. So you like copy in a line from this leg to this leg, and then measure it, and then that would be your target.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of integrating that entry type
Hmm.
and using the moving averages as my target or a fib level as my target.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it also, if it what's this dash line right here?
That is previous day open.
So that's a key level. So, that's what you want to see. You want to see price action pull back to that key level, hold it, and then you wait until it breaks above one tick above there. You
Hmm.
enter, um, and then you ride it up.
Yeah,
And that's you catching the momentum instead of you trying to predict where it's gonna squeeze up. You're already in it with
exactly.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that'll get you sometimes if you're anticipating it, but it's not ready or it's just not going to do it.
Yeah. So like if this would have happened, you came back up and it goes back above one tick by the bid and then ride it up.
Yeah.
But I'm still practicing that. I'm not integrating it fully into my strategy. It's just something that might help me identify price action a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna check that video out and see if I can wrap my head around that as well because that waiting for the one tick above that could be a really good fail safe like against like just getting in when it's not ready to go.
I mean, just be aware because he has a tight stop loss. Imagine one tick below this candle. It's tight, but it might, depending on the size of the candle, it could be 3 points or 4 points
Yeah.
below. But I'm just practicing right now.
All right. Cool. Well, I'll move along to my second trade from Tuesday. My second trade from Tuesday was a great little trade plan, but it I held too long and I saw a really good signal to get out, but I didn't listen to it. It wasn't a signal I was used to, but I did see it. So it's important for me to note that. But at any rate, so this was a pretty good setup. This is earlier in the day, right here to the left, where the big data candle is. So I was watching. The rest of the day was looking good and everything. Watching price action. And I was seeing a lot of TTM activity here. And and I noticed this big looked like manipulated or news blip down. And also just look to the left. This is kind of like how this week has been, like, huge wicks, just like what is this fucking price action? Just fucking gnarly. This was, I think, the day before Yellen spoke. Yeah, this is Tuesday. Yellen spoke on Wednesday. But I was still seeing a good higher low set, a good higher low setup, and it kind of like, and so I saw this one popping up here, nice higher low. And then so when this one manifested itself, I was like, all right, let me draw a fib down here. And I also started having this trend line working. So it was like, yeah, like it's trending up. And so all right, so I saw this pullback and this pull back down to 50 RSI right here. And MACD was doing a nice pointing up thing. And so I was like, yeah, this could be it. My entry was a little bit late because it tapped down to my 60, 61. I guess maybe I was waiting to see if it would go down a little further. But the 50 pullback happened. It seemed like that's all I was gonna get. So I got in when it pulled back up here. Not the best entry, but still a really legit plan, I thought. Um, you can't see it up here too well, but over here you could see peaking down to 666 moving average. And I think my other fib like level like kind of like lines up there somewhere. So I felt like, wow, maybe I can hang on to this trade up to one of those levels. But I really oughtn't to have because this white line right here, that's my VWAP. And it had already gotten a very harsh rejection from this, on this candle VWAP right here. Um, so I should have looked back in time and really taken that a little more seriously. Because when it pulled up to VWAP this time, I was like, shit, maybe I should just get out of VWAP, right? But I hadn't really thought too much about this. What I did notice, but I hesitated, and I wish I'd taken more seriously, is like, okay, so it pushed up to VWAP right here, right? Good target. That's actually like 5 points. That's a good 5 point play right here. And then this next candle happened. Look at that. It's like a perfect flat top doji. So I saw a perfect flat top doji right at VWAP, and I said to myself, if this next candle opens below the flat top doji, I should just get out. But even though I said that to myself, it's not like a steadfast rule or something I've thought about very much. So it wasn't concrete in my mind to actually reflexively act on that, you know? So when this did open up underneath it, I was kind of like, like, what's it going to do now? You know, even though previously I had said, if it opens below, get out. So what happened was, and no one likes this, you know, it moved down, 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 and I was like, ugh, I think I know what's about to happen. Um, and like, so I got out, only 1 point profit, which kind of, you know, that's a hard pill to swallow when it could have been five, and for like very good reason, or maybe like four actually, if I gotten out here. But you know, it was a nice idea for a nice little, you know, 5 point play. Now that I've learned this lesson, I'll have a little bit more experience in making that concrete, because it was kind of an on the spot realization, utilizing some of the things that Semper had been telling me about recently about doji levels on MES, these little 1 minute dojis, what can happen, you know, not what will happen, but what can happen. So that will be a little bit more hardwired for me going forward. Um, but yeah, that's that trade. Second trade from Tuesday. Um, I don't have my indicators like spread out too well on here. You can't really see everything, but that pretty much covers
Hey,
it.
LasagnaCat, are you sim trading with multiple contracts or just
I've only been doing one.
one?
Yeah, I mean, I might want to do two to like exercise that sort of thinking.
Maybe next week we'll go to two contracts just so
Sure.
you can lock in. We'll set your goal as 4 to 5 points, 4 to 6 points,
Hmm.
where you lock in 75, 50% of your contract and
Right.
then let the other ride.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds good. That would
But
definitely.
moving up your stop up, so you're still profit stop. It's not a stop loss. It's more of a profit stop.
Yeah. So after your first target is hit, you move up your stop so you don't lose any cash on the
Yep.
second. Yeah.
You'll give some back, but you won't. You'll still end up the trade green no matter what. So
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
no risk.
Yeah.
There's no more risk. And that kind of helps you calm down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
for
already
sure.
hit your goal. I'm gonna move my stop up. Boom. I'm already on house money.
Yeah.
Um, I'm locking in green no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's what some traders have a tough time doing. Is like, oh, well, I know it's gonna base here, but what if it doesn't?
Right.
Or you forget that data's coming out and you get whipsawed and you get stopped out.
Yeah.
Um, it's always better just to lock in green
Yeah.
because once you get red, you just your stomach turns upside down and your heart starts racing.
Yeah. It's a shitty feeling.
Uh,
Familiar feeling.
so as long as you move that profit stop up, just be at ease. Accept
Yeah.
the trade. You called it out. If it doesn't keep moving, okay, boom, reset for the next trade.
Yeah.
Don't try to be like, man, I should have just got out or full position. No, don't think in the past. Think in the future and be happy that you got out green. And that's what helps build consistency. Moving that stop loss up, locking in at, 50%. Of course, with one contract, it's a little bit harder,
Right.
but shoot for a smaller target. Instead of 4 to 5 points, shoot for 3 points.
Hmm.
Once you get used to it, seeing the candles develop, that's what you're trying to train your brain is how the candle is developing on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, shoot for three. It doesn't matter if it's only one contract. It's okay. I'm gonna my real target is 5 points, but for now, my target's 3 points. But I know
Yeah.
it can get to five. Okay, and then I'll be okay. How are the candles developing to that 5 point target, or to the moving average, or to whatever you're using as your target?
Yeah. And when you say like developing like sort of like nice orderly candle formation as opposed to like sort of whippy like wiki stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like that's something that made the like this week difficult was that price action like this was just all over the place this whole week. It's like except for like the big dump day where it just dumped and did some, and then after that it did some other weird stuff, but it just all so much of it like wicks, 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 dur, dur, dur. And then when the candles did start overlapping a little bit, it was just kind of like, nah, they're still really wicky. They kind of look like all dojis, but they don't know where they're going. And like force down, force up. I don't know. It was a it was a rougher week price action wise for my
There's still plays to be had, but
yeah,
you have to be more critical about your entries
yeah,
and only enter on your key levels. And if it goes against you, then get out.
yeah,
Keep the losses small and the greens let them run.
yeah,
Um, so we'll get there. Next week we'll revisit your rules,
yeah.
and then we'll have your two plays, and then we'll structure them in a way where it's kind of methodical, where you okay, it has this criteria, right? It meets these three catalysts.
Hmm.
Okay, now it's price action at a key entry point.
Right,
And if it does, then yeah, okay, let's get in. If it doesn't, if it's not at a key entry point, even though your catalysts are there, don't get in because it might go against you.
right. I mean,
Uh, and that goes for like the cat stacker. The cat stacker, I love Brown Eyed Girl's settings
uh-huh.
because some of the settings, some of her alerts tie up with me, and I'm still trying to find the settings that go for my style.
Yeah.
Um, so I have another setting, and I've noticed that I have to combine both of them for me to get both alerts.
Oh, okay. So,
So
so you get alerts for two trade styles using it.
yeah, one
Okay.
for it's my same trade style,
Hmm.
but for in order for me to get the alerts, I have to use Brown Eyed Girl's settings,
Um,
and then for the other one, it's a different setting. So yeah,
yeah,
that's cool that you can adapt it to anybody's
yeah,
style.
for sure. Um, so yeah, so moving on to Wednesday now. So Wednesday, I had one red and one really nice green trade. The red one I could have easily avoided just by looking at one thing, a little differently, RSI. But this was that sell down day. This is, I think, the Yellen day. I'm not sure, Wednesday. And like big sell down. And then I saw it like finding some support here. There was like a nice, what I thought was a nice little base forming. Um, and we started chopping around the 50 RSI, and the 50 moving average here was like starting to flatten out, but it really, really hadn't. But it got the cross, the 50 EMA over 50 SMA cross. And I thought to myself, man, like it got that cross, but it hasn't really started going flattening out yet. But it kind of made me jump the gun a bit. Um, but besides that, the thing that so like I got this higher low right here, and I thought that this might be the second higher low. But Semper's told me this a bunch of times, and like I'm surprised I made this mistake on this one. Um, but this RSI right here, when it came down to 50, it went straight down and past it, complete vertical and smashed right through. Um, I've seen, after you pointed it out, Semper, in the past, I've seen time and time again that if it smashes down like this on an abrupt candle, that is not an entry.
Yep.
But I think like on that day, I was just rationalizing. I was like, yeah, but the moving averages didn't even look right. I was like, they kind of look right. I mean, that word kind of just has to go outside of be ejected from a trader's vocabulary. Like there's no kind of, is it doing it or not? And it wasn't. But it was really the RSI. And Semper, this is like textbook for what you've warned me about with the RSI going vertically down like that.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see the big candle, but you won't see the RSI reflect the move.
Yeah.
But in that point, it did. The only thing that kind of point stands out to me is this candle right here is a volume beat right here.
Mm-hmm.
Sellers were still in control.
Yeah.
And
Oof.
that's why you still got that. But they're already getting exhausted down here because it started basing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the first actual long play happened, which is not the one I played.
So let me ask you, did you see the RSI smash through the 50 before you entered?
No, no. But
You weren't looking at it, or you
like
didn't see it?
I was, let me put myself back in the mind. Yeah, I did see it. I was totally watching it and I was watching the candle and they both completely corroborated, they were both
Hmm.
saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I just like straight up like it's textbook. Like this candle does look like this RSI. Like they
Hmm.
completely
Yeah.
agree with each other. But I
Hmm.
ignored it. Like I just straight up ignored it for some reason.
Yeah, that and I've read volume, but like Brandon has been saying, volume sometimes is unreadable.
Yeah,
But right there, it's, in the consolidation zone starts right here,
yeah,
and there's no green beats.
yeah. I mean, there's like so many textbook reasons on why this I didn't on why this shouldn't have been it. I think something in my mind was like, hey, you've waited this long. Like, look how patient you've been, or something.
Yeah.
It's like, but nah, it's my
I
wrong,
mean, you got most indicators. You got the hold of the 50, you
right?
got the 50-50 cross. At this point right here, you're already okay. It made it above here. Should I get in right here when it
Yeah,
tagged the 50 on that little small pullback? No,
right.
because according to your fib, there's not enough meat left in the bone until up
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
The only way that I would get in right here is a break above it and a hold above
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Break above the 100, then hold the 100.
yeah, right here, it broke above it, and then right away, um, I mean, you stopped out way below your 23% too.
Yeah,
You,
because that's like the only time it took that long to get a close,
yeah,
which kind of sucks. I hate it when that happens.
yeah, you'll get smoked
Yeah.
through
Ugh.
that thing.
But that's just gonna happen sometimes, I think, right?
It will, unless you have a fishing order out.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because then you're hoping and praying that it bounces back. It did on the next candle, but
right.
you your brain doesn't want to get out like on this candle,
Hmm.
right? Let's say you're down here, right? You're still like holding on,
Yeah,
and you see this green candle and you're like, fuck, it's above my stop. I should get out and cut the bleeding. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But your brain starts saying, no, the next candle can be green and it can continue going up and then I'll make my money back.
Exactly.
Um, and you don't want to get stuck in that. You just be like, okay, let me cut it
Hmm.
and let me reset. Let me go wait for another higher low
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Um, but you just gotta accept the fact that most of the time they're not all gonna work out. All the strategies don't work 100% of the time, no matter
right.
what strategy it is.
Yeah,
So you're gonna have stop outs.
yeah,
Um, just getting good at your entries to minimize the stop outs.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these recaps are definitely going to like this right here, the RSI and price action thing here. This is going to be so hardwired into my mind after today. Like this
Yep.
is very, I'm not happy that I did this trade, but I'm very happy that I get to talk about it after I did it because,
Well, now you're like, okay, if I don't see the RSI come back up and hold right here, I'm not even getting in.
right.
As long as the RSI is down in this level, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
Back over here, once it goes into overcool, touches the overcool. Okay, now it's creating higher lows. Okay, now, you can use the 30 as a confirmation. Like right here, probably tag the 30. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't draw
And you
that.
could have got in right here,
Yeah. And,
but
and
I wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have got into right here. Probably right
yeah.
here somewhere.
And that's the thing. Like after this trade, I was like, you know what? the market's haunted today. I'm getting out of here. It's like I actually like turned off like my platform like right around here. So
Mm-hmm.
and like I went, I went away. And then actually that'll bring me to my next trade because I decided to come back later on in the day and I got like a really good trade. So like so what happened was like I turned my computer on again and this was like this was power hour. Like I came back and started looking at around like around this time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I turned on my computer, I saw that this move had happened. Like I looked back and I saw this move had happened. Like
Yep.
I was looking back, I was like, oh great, that's where I fucked up back there. And oh, that's where the fucking cool move happened. And I got like a little pissed off and stuff. And I was like, dude, wait, don't get pissed off. It's still only like 2:45. There might be some trading left.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's get back in reality and see what's happening here. And one of the things I noticed right off the bat was oh my God, I didn't have my fucking when I took my screenshots, I didn't have my indicators stretched out the right way. So you can't even see where RSI is down here. But I believe I recollect it was over cool. I mean, that makes sense. Anyway, all right, it's a shabby drawing. But I saw that the 200, here's my 200 moving average, SMA. I saw that it was very flat and that had been flat for a while, which I took as a real good sign. And I noticed that a few times it come down to this support. I forget what the support was on the larger chart, but I think it was one of our weekly fib levels. I might be wrong about that. It was something very significant. Um, and so I saw that it hit it again as support. And I saw that, you know, it was like it had kind of done these little minor higher lows here, just like these little guys, little indication of higher low. And that this is actually a higher low from there. Um, and so when I saw it start to put in this red candle over here, I thought maybe it'll pull back into my fib zone. See, so you see this one's red, but I'd actually already drawn the fib from here. It's like, you start drawing the fib as soon as you see price action forming. So I initially had the fib drawing from the top of this green one down there. And like what I said to myself was when I drew it from here, I was like, I need to see a red pullback. I need to see a red. So I like that this little red pullback happens here, but that's not official. That's just like a nice little blip that technically creates a higher low, but that's just something you kind of notice. So I had my fib drawn from here, and I was like, I need a red pullback. So when I saw this one go up there, I was like, all right, let me adjust my fib real quick. And I adjusted it real quick. This all happens really fast sometimes. And when I adjusted it, this little guy, came down here. And I was like, oh shit. And so I got in, I bought the bid right above my 61 fib. And and then RSI kind of chilled out over here. It never made the full pullback to the 50, but I don't know. It just looks so good. This is a trade that I just felt good about from start to finish. And this volume beat really helped me feel good about it as well. Like sure, it wasn't as big as this one, but I kind of feel like volume had reset after that. Um, but yeah, and I got in here, pretty much my desired entry, right down here in the middle would have been amazing, but got in. And here's also where I wish I was trading multiple contracts because I used my fib, my 200 fib as my target, but I called this 666 SMA as soon as I saw shit happening over here because earlier on in the day it had tagged VWAP and 200 SMA and then come back down. So I felt it was time for the 666 to get some play, and it did go right up there just a couple candles later. And that was it. That was a really great play. That was 8 points, and up to here would have been 13. So not bad at all.
Yeah, as long as it crossed that 200 up here, it
Yeah,
probably, especially with that type of candle,
yeah,
you probably know it's gonna get sandwiched in between here. maybe shy of the 666 on the first, and then go back up,
Yeah, this one's
gain
the
speed.
VWAP.
Oh, the VWAP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, it sometimes it acts as a moving average. If not, this is your 200 right here.
Yeah, the 200 SMA is right below it. It's in this traffic jam, but it's this nice flat one here. This guy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I see it.
That flat 200 is the thing that like got my attention, like to begin with, and the fact that RSI was, I'm pretty positive it was over cool, and
Hmm.
and just I wish I'd had the whole day chart with me because this support had been in action like for a couple hours at that point.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good
Um.
setup.
Yeah. So that was Thursday. This whole week has been like different shit. Like it's been like choppy. I've had small reds, I've had small greens. I had like that one big red that was annoying. Well, it wasn't huge. It was like 5 points, but still that's or 4 points. I think it was only 4 points. It was really annoying anyway. um, and then there was today where like I didn't get a trade because it was the force up day, but I made some notes. The note that I made was like that this trade had worked off the weekly fib and the hidden fib. Um, because because I drew hidden fib levels from the 100 weekly to the 76 weekly. I mean 78. And later on in the day, Brandon mentioned that, or later on in the morning, but it was after I'd already done this, which I didn't get the trade, but I'm glad I understand the lesson about hidden fibs and keeping my weekly fib levels up and trading off of those. Because this pullback right here was right into the golden pocket of the weekly fib. I'm sorry, this just looks like a bunch of dashed lines, so probably fucking just looks really weird. But just trust me, these little gray lines here are the hidden ones, hidden fib, based off of the weekly. And so you got the hidden fib tag right here. Um, and really nice looking TTM, like holy shit, and volume, like with that TTM and volume. I was actually doing a couple different things and not watching this very closely. I was actually like setting up some screenshots for today, getting my files together for the meeting. But man, what a great fucking look. And like the other note that I made, I don't know if there's even an answer to this, but an RSI question: does MACD upper channel affect RSI 50 retrace? Meaning this pullback here didn't equate to a full pullback to the 50 RSI, but I was wondering if that's because MACD was already bullish above the center line. I still do not know what the center line does in MACD very well. So I was wondering if like the thrust from MACD being above center line maybe made RSI not necessary to pull back to the 50. That's just a note that I made to pay attention to. If anyone knows if there's an answer to that, please tell me. But like, it's just something I noticed today, so I made a note. And the other note that I made was about the weekly and hidden fib. Didn't trade this, but there it is. Um, so like, and I figured that I'd bring this note to the meeting just because all these things are sort of, all these things are amounting into the progress I'm making. Had the same issue today. Yeah. Oh, what? Like just meaning like there's no place to get in at the force up um or did you have like a similar thing about the MACD? Um, but yeah, cyber stock trade. Yeah, cyber stock trade is come
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that. That's something to look out for.
Yeah, it's just a curious thing. And these force up days can be a little bit frustrating because there's like this is a really great entry, but you got to be primed to make that entry, as it presents itself.
Yeah.
And it actually did have most of my rules in place, but I was doing a few things at once and like, yeah, okay, yeah. Cyber stock trade is saying that the RSI and MACD weren't synced and it made and cyber stock trade double guessed because of that. Yeah, I mean that it's great that you saw that cyber stock because like it was something that I noticed for the first time today, and I was like, wait, like MACD upper channel, lower channel. It's like I only ever like notice crosses, right? And so looking at RSI, it's like, let me wait for the pullback to the 50. And it's like, well, does the MACD upper lower affect that? So yeah, hey, let's all keep our eye on that because that might be important info.
Yeah, that might be something like, when Brandon says, "Oh, it's a no indicator day." That
Right.
might be a sign or the first sign of it or something. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it could be. But I mean, hey, these indicators are just a couple lines on the screen. We can we can learn to get them right.
yep.
And we're doing it. We're doing it a little bit every day, but it seems there's always more. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely always ways to learn. I
Yeah,
mean, and that would be like when the indicators are kind of off, that would be like, okay, I'm gonna just base myself on price action now,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And that's why it's kind of good to learn price action, like
Yeah.
naked price action. Uh, just so you kind of, okay, the indicators aren't working today. Let me see what price action can do for me.
Well, it's funny because like this price action is so clean. It's like
It
this.
is, and that's what that guy says. It's called a second legged or two-legged pullback.
Yeah,
And here's one, right? Here's one. So here's the first one. So here's a candle where you would base it off, and then you would get in one tick above this candle, this wick. So
yeah,
you would have got in right here
yeah.
with the one tick stop below that wick
Right.
right there, and then you would have caught this move.
Insane. Insane. And that's the move you want to catch.
Exactly. And then there's nothing here. You could have got in right here on this candle, but then you probably would have got stopped out on that candle,
Right.
but it's not clean. Once you see it clean like this, where it's a nice little leg,
Hmm.
and that's what he says. It's like you want to be able to see the leg, see how it's nice, good leg. You can see it. You can see the pullback,
Yeah.
and then you can enter right here. That's a good play.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, over here, there's no good plays. Maybe right here is one, and then you get the first pullback, and then you would have entered here with the stop below there.
Right.
You would have caught that play.
So in the example of the first one, the one back here, you don't wait
Hmm.
for this next candle to close, you just wait for it to push above.
Yeah, because it's weird. I've tried it, and I can't put a fishing order out on the top side. Remember you brought that up?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I can only sell up here, so you have to wait until the candle clicks that level.
Yeah.
And I usually draw like as soon as I see that candle, I draw a trend line and I say, okay, as soon as the candle hits there, I'm gonna buy or a tick below, and then I'm gonna buy the ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as soon as that thing gets here to this thing, I'm gonna buy the ask, which is one tick above.
Right.
And sometimes it goes down, but your stop is right here, dude. Either you're right or you're wrong. That's where this strategy kind of helps
That's
because
cool. Yeah.
either you ride the wave or you're wrong and get the fuck out and wait for the next setup.
True. True.
And
Yeah.
it's there. He waits for the you're like it's like you're surfing, right? You're like when you're surfing, you kind of got to paddle to
Yeah.
get on top of the wave and then you stand up. This is kind of like that. Okay, you're paddling, you're paddling, you're paddling. Okay, I'm gonna get up on top of the board and then you're gonna ride it.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I'm gonna check out that video because I mean like also what's cool about that is like sometimes if like you miss getting in at like let's say this is your
Yeah,
ad.
this was a 50 or the 50%,
Right,
right?
exactly. And then sometimes when it leaves your ad zone, though, you're like, fuck, I missed it. But then
Yeah.
looking at the trade from that perspective, it's like, actually, this is an ideal entry right here. Ding.
Yeah, one tick. You're gonna miss like a point or two, but hey, there's still another freaking 10 points, to the 100 fib.
Yep. Meat on the bone.
But and that's where you kind of got to do that calculation quick. Okay, I see a leg up. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the first long entry pullback.
Yeah.
So here's one, and then usually he says they usually go in twos. So they got one, and then there would have been another one right here, and
Right.
then you see it.
Absolutely.
But
Um,
well, I gotta head out.
all right.
Happy Memorial Day. Um, see you guys next week. Happy trading. LasagnaCat's gonna take over and finish up the meeting.
Yeah, not much more to go, actually, except that cyber stock asked how does one learn it's a no indicator day?
That's just a gut algo, and that just comes with time. Brandon, he's been trading for 10 plus years, so he just got that gut algo developed. And once you get there, I think it comes maybe past 5 years for sure, because I've been doing this for almost 6 years, and I'm still not there. Maybe next year I'll get the gut algo.
um, yeah, man. Happy Memorial Day, Semper. Thanks for your service,
Yeah,
man.
and no problem. Thanks for the support, guys, and see you guys next week.
All right, awesome. See you, Semper. All right. So looks like Cyberstock is typing something. One day. Have a good weekend. Heck yes. Hey, look, that's about it for the meeting. That's all the stuff that I did this week. We're gonna be doing it all over again next week and for the following weeks. And we'll have a lot more to go over. Also, next week at the meeting, Semper is gonna show me ways to like revise my rules. It's gonna be awesome. And we'll see what's going on then. So if anyone has any questions, hit up the chat real quick. Um, Otherwise, I'll just stop the recording here. All right, looks like we're good to go. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's been awesome. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy the long weekend, and we'll catch you next time. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.